Look, forget the private jets, the rented supercars, and those diamond watches you see plastered all over social media, right? True wealth isn't actually about what you show off. It's about a hidden framework of daily, calculated decisions. So today, we're ripping the lid off the actual mental patterns that separate the financially free from folks who are, well, perpetually stuck living paycheck to paycheck. We're going to completely demystify the gap between staying broke and building lasting, generational wealth in this explainer. And honestly, the best part, it has almost nothing to do with how much money you make right now. Absolutely nothing. It has everything to do with how you think about the money you already have. By the end of this, you're going to know exactly where your mindset sits and, more importantly, the actionable steps you can take today to change your financial trajectory for good.
Okay, so check out this quote. Poor people work for money. Rich people make money work for them. I know. It sounds like a catchy bumper sticker or one of those motivational posters, but this is literally the defining dividing line of financial freedom. If you don't fully grasp this concept, all the budgeting tricks and fancy spreadsheets in the world just aren't going to save you. Because look, if you're only ever trading your sweat and your hours for a weekly paycheck, you are the engine. You have to keep running just to stay in the exact same place. The wealthy, they approach this entirely differently. They don't want to be the engine, they want to build the engine. They spend their time acquiring things that generate money completely independently of their physical labor.
And this massive shift in psychology, it starts the exact second money hits your hands. It's the profound difference between seeing a paycheck as a finish line to cross versus a seed to be planted. A poor mindset looks at a direct deposit and says, "Man, I worked hard for this. I suffered. I deserve a reward." It treats money as something to be consumed right away for immediate gratification. But a rich mindset pauses. The very first question isn't about spending. It asks, wait, can this money make me more money? It's a totally different filter. You start viewing every single dollar not as a ticket to buy something, but as a little employee that you can send out into the world to recruit more dollars.
Let's put this into perspective with a real-world example. Imagine two friends, right? They each get a surprise $500 bonus at work. One friend treats it as a fleeting weekend of fun. They buy some hyped-up sneakers, maybe a fancy sushi dinner, and hey, it feels great in the moment. But fast forward 10 or 20 years, and the financial value of that memory is exactly zero. It's gone. The other friend takes a totally different route. They take that same $500 and put it into an index fund. If you're unfamiliar, an index fund is basically just a basket of top-performing companies you can invest in. And historically, it grows by about 8% a year. In 10 years, just by letting it sit there doing its thing, that same $500 has quietly turned into over $1,000.
And here is where it gets crazy. That is the staggering magic of compound interest. It sounds complex, but it's actually beautifully simple. It's when your money makes money, and then those new profits start making their own money. It's a snowball effect. Because of that compounding, that exact same $500 starting point balloons to over $2,300 across 20 years. Think about that. It's the exact same starting line, but a completely different future, simply because the money was treated as a powerful seed that can multiply instead of a meal to be eaten immediately. But to grow your money like that, you need a fundamental shift in how you value your most precious, finite resource, your time. So I want you to ask yourself a brutal, kind of uncomfortable question right now. If you stopped working tomorrow, would your income stop too? Seriously, take a second to think about that. If you got sick, or if you just needed a break, would the cash flow instantly dry up? If the answer is yes, well, it means you're caught in the traditional time for money trap. You have one job, one primary source of income, and a direct one-to-one trade-off of your waking hours just for your basic survival. So how do you escape that exhausting treadmill? Well, the wealthy obsess over building resilient financial systems. They intensely focus on passive income. That's just money that flows into your accounts while you're sleeping, traveling, or literally doing anything else. They buy investments that pay dividends, which are simply regular cash payouts that companies give you just for owning a small slice of their business. Or they build businesses structured to run smoothly without their constant physical presence. Now, don't get me wrong, they work incredibly hard, but they are working upfront to build a self-sustaining machine that eventually just hums along entirely on its own. Which leads us to a daily, almost agonizingly simple mental checkpoint you've got to start using if you want to cross this financial gap. Before any purchase, ask yourself, does this pay me or does it cost me? I know, it sounds almost too basic to actually work, but applying this single, ruthless filter to your daily life, to every shopping cart, every online checkout, every major decision, is absolutely transformative. It forces you to evaluate whether you're buying the actual substance of wealth or just the hollow appearance of it. Here's the deal. True assets quietly pay you back over time, while liabilities constantly drain your future to fund an illusion of status today. Think of it like this. An asset like real estate, dividend-paying stocks, or even investing in a high-income skill for yourself literally puts money into your pocket month after month. A liability, it aggressively takes it out. Take a shiny new luxury car financed with a massive loan, for example. Not only are you paying interest, huge insurance premiums, and high maintenance costs, but the car itself loses about 10 to 20% of its value the literal second its tires hit the street outside the dealership. A poor mindset constantly chases that flashy look of wealth, while a rich mindset quietly builds the unshakable substance of it. And this focus on substance totally changes how we perceive risk. A poor mindset looks at the stock market, real estate, or starting a business and sees a terrifying casino where you could lose it all. They think it's way safer to just hoard cash. But here is the terrifying truth, guys. Keeping your cash stuffed in a mattress or sitting in a basic zero-yield bank account is mathematically guaranteed to lose value. Why? Inflation. Think of inflation as an invisible thief that breaks into your bank account every single year, shrinking what your cash can actually buy. The wealthy understand that sitting on shrinking cash is the real danger. Taking calculated, educated risks, that's actually the ultimate form of financial safety.
Now, here is the ultimate secret that levels the playing field for all of us. Money is just a skill. That's it. Nobody is born genetically predisposed to know how to diversify a portfolio, analyze a balance sheet, or calculate compound interest. The wealthy don't have some magical sixth sense. They just treat finance as a lifelong, continuous practice. It's exactly like hitting the gym, learning to play the guitar, or mastering your career. If you can learn to drive a car or operate a smartphone, you are more than capable of learning how to build wealth. It just requires the active choice to start reading, researching, and treating your financial education like it actually matters. If you're watching this and getting a sinking feeling, realizing you've operated with a poor mindset your whole life, I want you to take a deep breath. It is not your fault. Society rarely teaches us this stuff in school, and a lot of us inherit our money habits from parents who were honestly just doing their best to survive. So while it might not be your fault, it is entirely your responsibility to change it, starting today. Poverty is a starting point. It is not a life sentence. You are not born broke by choice, but you possess the absolute power to decide exactly where your story goes from here. You really don't need a fortune in the bank to start thinking like a millionaire. You just need to shift your internal narrative right now. Tell yourself that you're defined by what you do next, not by the circumstances of where you started. Remind yourself that every giant, sprawling oak tree started out as a tiny, insignificant seed. It's the small, sometimes boring, but incredibly consistent steps today that build the massive, undeniable freedom you want tomorrow. Your next financial decision, literally the very next dollar you earn and what you choose to do with it, controls your entire future. So bridging the wealth gap isn't about winning the lottery. It's a proven formula. First, you shift your mindset from mindless spending to intentional investing. Second, you begin building systems, no matter how small at first, so your time eventually becomes yours again. Third, you fiercely acquire assets while dodging those status-driven liabilities. Fourth, you step out of your comfort zone and take calculated risks instead of hiding in the false safety of cash. And finally, you never ever stop treating money as a skill you can continually master. Change this underlying mental framework and the money, it will inevitably follow. I want to leave you with this honest reflection. Take a hard look at your daily habits, your recent purchases, and your long-term plans, and ask yourself honestly, which mindset are you feeding today? Are you planting seeds, or are you just eating them? Look, there's absolutely no judgment here, only room for explosive, life-changing growth. If this explainer helped you see money a little differently, join us next time. We'll be breaking down exactly how you can start investing and building your wealth engine with as little as $10. Catch you then.